Is Ryan.
And my name is Miska.
And welcome to Overwatch Central. So today we're going to see the launch of Orisa onto the live servers. From there we expect to see it picked up a lot in quick play and also some levels of competitive. On that subject, however, we do have some news that we got late last night saying that for the first week Orisa won't be playable in competitive. Scott Mercer posted when patch 1.9 releases, Orisa will not initially be available for competitive play. We want to give some players some time to learn about and play Orisa before she's placed into the crucible of competitive play. It's nice to see Blizzard do this. There were a couple of problems when Ana and Sombra were released as well, but it is a nice opportunity for players to get to grips with her, both playing with and against her. But that does raise us onto the topic of this video. At this point in time, we don't know where Orisa will stand in a meta because we just haven't seen her played at the highest levels just yet. We wanted to go over what we know about the hero, how the Overwatch community dealt with including Sombra and Ana into their lineups, and answer the main question of today's video: is Orisa worth learning?
We don't want to take you on a wild goose chase with our answer, because it's just too early to tell, to be honest. It's a lame answer, but we have been incredibly critical of knee-jerk responses in the past, and really we just don't want to cause any here. This video is here to go over how Orisa could be a success within a team, but also the problems that Orisa will face when she's thrown into the deep end of live Overwatch competitive. Before we talk about the addition of Orisa though, we need to go over the current climate of competitive Overwatch at this point in time. Currently we're sat in a little bit of a triple tank mode of sorts. Ana is still incredibly strong, but she's receiving further nerfs to her toolkit, which we imagine will go live with Orisa. Not only that, but we are seeing a real rise with dive compositions in the pro scene. This compromises of flankers like Genji, Tracer, with a solo tanking Winston leaping into the action headfirst, and of course occasionally we see the more experimental lineups as well, but that pretty much sums up a brief overview of the current lineup types that we're seeing a lot of.
So where does Orisa fit into all this? Well, nowhere really, at least not in a dive composition. Dive has been something that's been around since the closed beta, but it's really finding its stride currently with the changes to the triple tank lineup. Orisa has been in development for months, so of course Orisa isn't going to be a direct counter to this playstyle that's only cropped up in the past few weeks, but we are just going to play devil's advocate here. We spoke to XQC, who is a Winston main on a pro team. We spoke about dive comps and Winston's place in a meta, and he brought up how prevalent dive compositions are in the competitive scene currently. When you're looking at Orisa's toolkit, she neither adds nor counters dive comps, so in a sense she's not going to be involved in that kind of setup. She is incredibly weak to being flanked, which means that she's not really an answer to a dive composition playing against them, but she also doesn't have any real mobility or any way to get up to vertical ground quickly, so again she cannot be involved in a dive composition lineup herself. I guess a normal 2-2-2 setup or triple tank could work for sure, but is she a much stronger option than Zarya or a Roadhog? I'm not necessarily sure on that in particular. She would work incredibly well with the new Lucia in a death ball style thing, but the only time that I can really see her used a lot is in these builder defenses with like a Torbjorn or a Symmetra. Having the ability to shield high ground or protect certain areas of the map is incredibly important to denying space to the enemy. She can also burst down shields and barriers herself to break down any attempt in a coordinated push, meaning that she might be good on defended Icon Vault, for example. I think the best way to think of her is sitting between Roadhog's damage output and D.Va's mitigation.
I think something that rubbed some players the wrong way was that Blizzard felt that Orisa could effectively do Reinhardt's job as an anchor tank. Whilst she's a strong character for game modes where territory ebbs and flows, I guess some players just felt that Blizzard doesn't truly get how detrimental Reinhardt can be on a team and how Orisa just isn't enough when it comes to a main tank option like that. In recent meta reports, Winston has been a much stronger pick in comparison to Reinhardt, and on top of that you have to keep in mind that we're just talking about competitive Overwatch here, the professional scene, and not just normal ranked when we mention stuff like meta reports. She can play alongside a Reinhardt, but that off-tank spot has a lot of competition with Zarya, Roadhog and D.Va already. It's similar to the whole Sombra problem when she was launched. People really respected what Sombra brought to the game, but in the climate back then, other options were valued over her and it was really difficult to put her into a team. At this point, it's definitely worth highlighting that some pre-Sombra predictions were way off, of course. People who tried out Sombra at BlizzCon said that she was going to be game-breaking, a must-pick, and changed how the game should be played and all that, and around 5 months on, she's still struggling to break into lineups. Not so much a meta-breaking hero now, really, is she? Anyway, similar things could happen to Orisa here. Right now she may seem underwhelming in comparison to other options, but the meta constantly changes and we may see Orisa being an absolute must-pick down the line like Ana became. This goes on to our original question: is Orisa worth playing? Well, try her out and decide for yourself when she launches. We've seen players like Cody Nico take an out-of-favor hero like Sombra and show the world how effective she can be, so why can't the same happen with Orisa? As for Orisa's viability though, we think it really comes down to the current meta and flow of the game, rather than the core concept of Orisa herself.
But it can be really easy to write off Orisa at the moment. I think we need to look at things rationally and learn the ins and outs of this new hero, which might take a few weeks at least. What you have to bear in mind too is what the pro scene meta is, and the perceived meta of each rank is definitely totally different. Whilst Orisa may never see the light of day in high competitive play in a pro tournament or scrims, at least for now, she may be a solid pick in Masters, GM, and so forth. I do have some problems with the hero though, and I thought I'd sort of highlight them at the end here. First, I feel like the projected barrier should travel and activate a little bit quicker than it does. Not only is the shield there to protect from damage coming in, but barriers and shields should also protect from abilities. Things that come to mind are Hook, Anti-Nade, and Earth Shatter. All of these are abilities that Reinhardt's shield can mitigate if used correctly. However, even throwing Orisa's shield right in front of her takes like half a second, meaning that there's no reactionary way to protect a team. It's just kind of luck with putting the shield up at the right time. She can fortify herself, which is great, and it does answer a lot to these problems, but it doesn't protect a team from an Earth Shatter, which is one of Reinhardt's core features as an anchor tank. So if Blizzard want Orisa to be similar like this, they need to make the shield a bit more snappy. Even Winston's barrier drops down a lot quicker, so you can use that to block these abilities, although it's a lot harder to do than Reinhardt's shield. Also, there is a lot of talk about Orisa's Halt ability and how OP it is. Players are quick to call out how many uses it can have, such as pulling a full team into a Reinhardt's Fire Strike, or pulling people off the map completely. But it can take a lot of coordination to set these plays up. It's good for the pros, sure, because it's all about coordination. But in our games and Masters, we could barely set up a Nanovisor or a Graviton Justice combo a lot of the time. Never mind a Halt into a Fire Strike. These are just some of my problems with the new hero, but I'm really curious to hear what you guys think. Is she going to be a super strong pick or fairly lackluster? Let us know in the comments below. As for the question, should you learn Orisa? Well, really it's up to you. If she's the kind of hero that you play, maybe you've played a lot of Diva in the past and this hero kind of scratches that itch, I suppose, then by all means learn Orisa. She may be a bit ill-favoured now, but if you get to grips with her and use her effectively, and then when the meta changes up and she's a bit more favoured, then you will excel at her because you've played her in a period where she wasn't particularly great. Good example of this is Valkyr. He played Farah during a time where she wasn't particularly strong, and now that she's in a really good spot, he's in the top 100 players on her, and that's no coincidence. So yeah, if she suits your playstyle and you enjoy playing her, that's the main important thing, then by all means learn to play her, just maybe not one trick her. That's what I would say. And until next time, take care. We'll see you then.